Well, let's officially start.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to this webinar on Calm Your New Superpower. And I'm Weiser Cornell.
I'm Lucinda Hayden.
And let's just introduce ourselves, Lucinda.
Okay.
People know who we are, although they might know already. So I'm somebody who's been working with focusing for, I think it's nearly 50 years now. Oh my gosh, I was so lucky to have discovered focusing before there was even a book about it. It happened that the guy who developed focusing was teaching focusing in the same neighborhood that I was going to school in, Eugene Genlin, in Chicago in 1972. It's going to be 50 years next year. And so I've been devoted to focusing ever since then. And I've written 5 books about it. I've created a worldwide business. I've traveled and taught in 20 countries. And it's really been my life mission to help people find their own inner sense of rightness, their ability to shift from stress to calm, and their ability to release stressful feelings from their own past. So that's me, and I'm really happy that Lucinda Hayden is my co-teacher and co-presenter today. We've been working together for 14 years. Say something more about yourself, Lucinda.
Yeah, thanks, Anne. And yeah, for over 30 years, I've been helping people transform through my teaching and coaching and writing. And my latest ebook and audio training is called 3 Practices for Growing Presence: How to Claim Your Superpowers and Create the Life You Want.
And, you know, we really both do the practices that we are teaching you.
Right.
And that's what makes us so enthusiastic and also confident that this will help you. So in this webinar, we're going to teach you some very helpful and essential practices for the situation in particular of feeling stressed by emotional states.
Mm-hmm.
And if you feel stressed by emotional states, would you tell us about it in the chat? Connie just wrote, I just found out my sister-in-law died from cancer and it feels so bad. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for your loss. And
Yeah.
it's so understandable to have feelings that arise from loss. And by the way, we're not going to be teaching how to make feelings go away or disappear. This is a very respectful process to the feelings that you actually have. But let's talk a little about what it feels like when emotions get too stressful,
Mm-hmm.
when they kind of take us over. And I remember so vividly that recent time in early January, maybe especially my fellow Americans remember that day when all day long, if you watched the news, you were watching images of something that was quite frightening. I was quite frightened. I was stressed. I was anxious. Had worries about the future of my country. And my body was full of these feelings, and I needed to teach that day. I needed some way of honoring my own feelings and yet also getting calm enough to teach. I needed everything that we're going to be showing you today. And really, all the way through the pandemic we've been facing for the last year, I've had a lot of stressful feelings, from feelings of dread, feelings of worry and anxiety, feelings of loss and pain. And I've really needed all the things we're going to teach you today. It's been hard. It
Yeah.
hasn't been easy. Yeah. What about you, Lucinda?
Yeah, all of that too, and also recently, a, a dear elderly friend of mine who's like family to me got a terminal diagnosis, and I'm the executor of her estate, and so there was suddenly not only a lot to feel about that, but also a lot to do that I wasn't prepared for.
Yeah.
And when I first heard the news about it, I was flooded with a lot of feelings, sadness about the loss of this friend that I've known my entire adult life. And also at the same time, I felt tremendous anxiety about all the practical things that I would need to take care of soon. But thanks to focusing, I was able to get present enough, even in that moment, that day, that I learned about her terminal diagnosis, present enough to allow myself to feel the many feelings that were coming up, like shocked, that was there first. And I mean, even though it wasn't a surprise, there's still shock and, and sad and anxious and worried about her. So what I did was I paused and I kept company with all of those feelings first. And I did some of the other things that we're going to be showing you in these 3 webinars, not only today, but in the 3 webinars. And then I was able to begin to start thinking more clearly about the practical things that would need to be done. And I was also more able to really fully feel those feelings that are important to feel at times like this. Yeah.
Exactly. The thing about stressful feelings, they're really important to acknowledge. Feelings, emotions connect us with others. They connect us with ourselves. And I think what I've seen is that many people have learned from their earlier life to deal with stressful feelings by trying to repress them or distract themselves from them. And that makes us a little bit more cut off from ourselves and others. So the challenge is to somehow find a way to acknowledge, get the gifts of our strong feelings, and yet, as you said, Lucinda, still have the clarity that we need to make clear decisions, to take actions that help other people. I remember a time when, in California, we live in an earthquake zone. And I remember a time I was so anxious about an earthquake. And there are things you can do to prepare for earthquakes, but I wasn't doing any of them. I was just worrying. And when I did some of the things that we're going to show you today, to be with my anxious feelings, to take them as information rather than being taken over by them, I did start to do the things you can do to prepare for earthquakes, getting my house retrofitted for earthquake and so on. So yeah, I'm just looking in the chat. Some other people are talking about their stressful feelings. Camilla from Brazil, super stressed by the fear of the COVID situation there. Yes. And Jean writes, I work in a school setting with high-risk kids, dealing with a lot of anxiety and grief. Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's hard. Yeah.
Definitely. And Linda is learning about ADHD. That's interesting. That may bring up feelings for you. Esther writes, I'm full of fear and can't stay with my feelings. I always want to leave the situation, go do other things. So understandable.
Yeah.
So understandable. Yes, of course. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to give you 3 skills today, and we're going to tell about them, and then we're going to take you through a process where you get to do it yourself. And the first one is so simple that you might think, what good would that do? But it's actually one of the most powerful things that I know to bring more calm into your life. And it's pausing. Pausing. When we are caught up in something, we're in a whirlwind, our bodies sort of activate and tense up and feel like things have to get taken care of right away. It's always possible to say, I need a moment. I need a moment. Let's kind of do that together right now. Like, what would that be like to say, I need a moment. I'm just going to pause.
Yes.
that right there took about 5 seconds. You always have 5 seconds, no matter what else is going on.
Yeah.
You know, my partner needed to be taken to urgent care for something that turned out to be a heart attack. I paused and said, I need a moment. Okay, let's do this, you know? So the ability to pause is numero uno. It comes first. You can do it in the middle of anything.
Yes.
And when you pause, notice what happens. You almost automatically find yourself feeling your body more. Do you feel that? Start to feel my legs.
Yeah. I
I
can
start,
feel my feet on
yeah,
the ground now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And when we bring our awareness to the body, it also helps grounding, settling. It helps us gather our resources. So pausing is number one.
Yeah, and the language that we use is also really powerful because the words that we choose frame up our experience. And I'd like you to try this for yourself right now. So find a challenging emotion. Some of you have been writing it in the chat. Just one word, a challenging emotion that you're feeling right now, something like scared or frustrated, and just take the first one that comes to mind and then say it out.
Let's
Yes.
give them a moment to get that word.
Okay.
And mine, let me get mine. And so mine is something like overwhelmed. Yeah.
Okay.
Too
Okay.
much to do, overwhelmed.
All right.
Okay, and people are writing heavy sadness, paralyzing overwhelm, sad, anxious.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So just that one word. You don't need the whole story or the whole sentence, but just the word. And then I want to invite you, and maybe Anne, you could model it for them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so, yeah, so I want you to just say that word out loud to yourself and notice how it feels when you say it.
Overwhelmed.
And now say it like this: I feel overwhelmed. Or yeah.
I
Right.
feel overwhelmed. Yeah. My shoulders start to feel like they want to tighten up and protect me from all, like, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I wonder if some of you that are saying that out loud are feeling what Anne's feeling there. And I want to show you another way to say it. We're going to shift the language. And so using that same word, that same emotion, instead of saying I feel or I am, now try this language. I'm sensing something in me that feels whatever it is, and we'll model that for you.
I'm sensing something in me that feels overwhelmed. Did you see my shoulders just
Yeah.
drop?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And I've done this a lot, but it still works.
It still works. I know. This is such powerful language, this little shift. And I'd love to hear from some of you in the chat how that was. Did it feel different to you when you shifted from I feel overwhelmed, whatever your feeling was, to I'm sensing something in me that feels that feeling? How was that? Who would like to share that with us? And Anne will read that.
I will read it.
Yeah.
A relief,
Mm-hmm.
a bit more detached, more distance to the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes smaller. Initially was a dead end, then was a curiosity.
Ah, yeah. So what's happening there? So as you can still please continue to write, but what's happening is now that I'm sensing, when you said I feel overwhelmed, using Anne's word, then it becomes all of you. You become merged with that feeling of overwhelmed, and there's nothing left. But when you shift the language, this simple little move of shifting to language, I'm sensing something in me. Now the I is your larger self. There's something of you that's bigger than that feeling. The feeling still gets to be there. So we're not pushing it away. We're not trying to get rid of the feeling. But now we are here. We as our larger self in presence, we're here to be with, to acknowledge that feeling. And as many of you are writing, the feeling becomes smaller. And now there's something of us that's bigger to be with it. And this creates a huge difference in how we feel and how we can be with our feelings. They don't overtake us like they used to.
Yeah, we like to call this getting bigger than what's bothering you, what's bugging you, and the amazing process of using this presence language that allows the getting bigger to happen without much worry, right?
Yes,
The language
yes,
itself takes you there.
exactly. You don't have to think about trying to get bigger than it. It's the language that does it for you. It's so elegant and powerful.
I have to read
just
you
love
what
it.
Sopio wrote.
Yes.
That was such an amazing feeling. I feel now I have a universe inside me, and just some little part is stressed.
So beautiful. Wow, Sophia.
Oh,
Wow. Yes. Yes.
oh,
Yes.
nice. Now, not
Yes.
everybody might have had that big of a reaction, but so far we can feel that it makes some difference.
Yeah. Like
The more you
Sean
do it,
said,
the better. Yeah.
Sean said it puts it into perspective. That's
Right.
easier to manage. So yes, that's exactly what it does.
Mm, yeah. It's only the beginning. It goes on from here. And yet, from the first two steps we've taught you, pausing and then sensing if there's a stressful feeling and using this language, I'm sensing something in me feels. You, you're already far along the way to having a different relationship with your feelings. Notice also that you haven't made your feeling go away. You haven't dismissed it. You haven't uh, denied it. You haven't
Yeah.
distracted yourself from it.
You're not trying to get rid of it.
Exactly. And so this is more sustainable, right? Because when we try to get rid of our feelings, they do often get
They
stronger
get
because
stronger.
they don't, I mean, your feelings have something to say.
Yes. And there's some of your life energy in those feelings. So trying to push them away or get rid of them would be cutting yourself off from some of your own energy. And it takes a lot of your own energy to keep them at bay, to cut off from them. And so all of that energy that's being denied and being used to push things away comes back to who you are. Yeah.
It's simpler. It's no wonder it's
Yeah.
relaxing to use this
Yeah.
kind of language because
Yeah.
we're using less energy. It's
Mm.
beautiful. Okay, so step 3, and then we'll do an exercise where you get to put them all 3 together. When you can be bigger than your feelings, when you can say, as I said, I am sensing something in me feels overwhelmed, there's an opening for self-compassion. So I am sensing something in me feels overwhelmed, and the I that is sensing is starting to feel some kindness, some caring toward that overwhelmed part of me. You might have noticed that already, but in any case, you might want to try our third step for today, which is to let a gentle hand move to the place in you where you're feeling that feeling. If you aren't feeling it in your body, just let your hand go to your heart because sometimes stressful feelings are sort of all over. So I'm feeling something in me that feels overwhelmed. I'm sensing, sorry, I got my language wrong. I'm sensing something in me that feels overwhelmed. I'm letting a gentle hand go there. Actually, it feels a little bit like it's in my shoulders. So I'm letting a gentle hand go there.
I'm going to put mine on my head. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ah, all
Mhm.
right.
Mhm.
That's nice. I can
Mhm.
feel myself receiving and giving that
Mhm.
caring compassion. How
Mhm.
was it for you, Lucinda?
Yeah, it helps so much having my hand there. I can
Yeah.
feel it, something in me just really kind of settling, and feeling comforted through my hand. It's like I'm bringing the support and the comfort of my larger presence to that part right
Mm,
now
beautiful.
through my hand. Mhm.
Beautiful. So give that a try. And we're also going to take you now through a process that will let you really settle down and give this a try more deeply. And just to add one more thing about the gentle hand, it's not meant to make the feeling go away. It's simply meant to give it company. And it's that company from
Mhm.
that larger self that allows it to begin to shift. In fact, we have a name for the larger self, the one who you become when you say, I am sensing. We call it self in presence. And yeah, go ahead, Lucinda.
Yeah, yeah. I love this because it's that larger self and this idea of being present, being here right now, present in my body. So I love the idea of presence, having more presence of mind, like I was able to have with my friend. And so all of that is contained in the name, self in presence.
Yeah, that seems like maybe an awkward name, but that's because we like to say it's not the same, not exactly the same as what any other method teaches. It has to do with your ability to turn toward with compassion anything in you that feels stressed and in need of care. And we can cultivate it, cultivate self and presence, get better at being that larger self who can be with what in us feels in need of care and company.
Yes, and in fact, every time we use any of these things that we're showing you, the gentle hand or that language, not only are we giving company to the feeling, we are also growing our larger self in presence by doing that. That action grows this larger self. So it works both ways.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Let's try it together now in an exercise that's going to take maybe 5 to 7 minutes. And we'll start by inviting you to pause.
I'm going to mute myself and do it along with you, Anne.
Oh, lovely. That'll be great. Yeah. So pausing and beginning to bring awareness to your body. You may find your eyes are naturally closing so that you can more easily feel your body. Feeling your body in contact with what you're sitting on. Perhaps your awareness goes to your feet and you can feel your feet. You can wiggle your toes a little so it's more easy to feel your feet. If you're sitting, you might also be able to feel your body, the rest of your body in contact with what you're sitting on. And just noticing those sensations of contact. We're doing a kind of slowing down. Even though you might be having anxious thoughts, slowing down and feeling in your body gives you something that can center you, can enable you to receive the resources of contact with what your body feels like, grounded, supported. So that's how we start. Aware also of your breathing. And then bringing awareness into the inner area of your body that includes your throat and chest and stomach. Although anywhere in your body might call for your attention, and that would be okay too. So asking yourself in your body, how am I right now? And is there something that I'm feeling that's calling for my attention? Is there something that I'm feeling that's asking, crying out, calling out for me to pay attention? And it might be that same feeling that you identified in the exercise that Lucinda took you through. But we're pausing to allow the feeling to really be here. And when you do feel something, you might find a word to identify it. Like anxious, tight, worried, sad, angry. Anything is welcome. And now let's try the language that we learned, and it goes like this. I am sensing something in me feels, and then put in your word that you found. For example, I am sensing something in me feels stressed. Pausing to sense if that makes a difference. I am sensing something in me feels ... and sensing if that makes a difference. And then receiving the difference that it makes. And now, see if it's okay to move a gentle, compassionate hand to the place in your body where that feeling lives. Or if you're not sure, just let your hand go to your heart. As if you're saying to the feeling with your hand, I am here with you. And take some time to notice how that feels. Anytime you need to, you can remember the feeling of your feet on the ground and your seat on the chair, the resources that let you remember that you are here, present, bigger than your feelings. And you feel something, and you say, I am sensing something in me feels ... And then if it feels right, let a gentle hand go there. I'm just going to leave another minute for you to feel that, feel how it feels, let it sink in, maybe do it again. Repeating the words can help too. Very good. And so we'll complete this little exercise with an inner thank you. And understanding or knowing inside that this is the beginning of a relationship with what you found. There'll be more. You can say to it, I know there's more. So, how was that? And do you want to say in the chat how it was? And Lucinda, do you want to say how it was? Oh, you're muted.
I was
Oh,
muted.
there you go.
Yes. Yes. As familiar as I am with this exercise, I'm always so, I just love so much the power of it. It shifted something in me that was feeling anxious about the situation, and it was so helpful. It really brought me into that larger place where I feel like I can handle things. I can take care of what I need to.
I'm sure you do the same thing a lot each day since you're in a stressful time right now.
Yeah.
Yes. And I want to remember to do it even more often than I do it. So it's wonderful to be reminded. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really the key, isn't it? It's remembering to do it, because it's very simple. Like you said, pausing only takes a few seconds. It's remembering to do it. It's the practice of it. And yeah, that's what makes the difference. Yeah,
people are saying in the chat,
mm-hmm.
very calming, empowering, nice and relaxing. I was with my fear and it was okay. Yeah, I love how it allows me to be here with what's here. Having heard, seen, read you going through similar processes several times, this was one of the best. Oh, I'm taking that in. I'm noticing that feels good to hear. Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. Eleanor writes, sensing that a part of me is key. Moving from a feeling of heaviness to a sensing that it's a part of me really helps. Ah, nice. Well, let's see. Oh, yes. How do we say it in Dutch? Something in me feels angry. Yeah, it feels angry. Not that it feels like anger. It feels angry.
I wish I will find out and let you know. Yeah, please email me. We're going to give you our email addresses.
But it should work. It should work well. Yeah, something in me is the it that feels angry. It has the feeling. Yeah. However, if it was tense or tension, not an emotion, but a body feeling, it would be something feels like tension. And different languages may use different terms anyway.
Yeah, but she wrote, Leva, you wrote something in me feels angry. So yes, that's how you would translate it in Dutch.
Right. Karen writes, I found initially the feeling wasn't correct. Aha! After trying a couple words, I found out I was feeling uncertain.
We love that. That's actually, the resonating and the checking, we often might say something that doesn't fit. And part of this process is to find the word that does really describe it well. So yay you.
Very good. Well done.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Well, I'm gonna tell you something now about what happens next after these 3 steps. And after that, we're going to give you some tips about how you can do this stress relieving process every day as part of your daily life. So it's clear that it's a lot easier to get to where you want to go in life when you can do it from a calm state. Yeah. And today we've given you some practices to help you access your sense of calm when you're faced with stressful feelings. We gave you a taste of what's possible when, as we like to say, calm becomes your new superpower. But as you can tell, this is really only the beginning of what's possible. There's so much more to learn. And here's what you could look forward to learning next. 1, you could learn how calming and centering it can be when you simply describe what you're feeling and then check if that description really fits, as Karen did. Another one would be how having this compassionate inner relationship and pausing, as we've talked about today, also works to soften and calm your stressful thoughts. and how, when you deeply listen with calm compassion to the parts of you that carry stress, it's not just a short-term solution. It brings lasting changes over time. So we want to point you toward our upcoming course. It's a live online course called Path to Lasting Change. And that's where we teach you these 3 further skills and even more. And it makes it possible for you to bring a calm, compassionate presence to whatever you're feeling. Because here's what we want you to know. Calm presence, being self in presence, is the most important skill you need to permanently shift your relationship to your stressful feelings and what causes them. And the secret is that how you relate to your feelings, including your stress, makes a huge difference. So we've been showing you how to get bigger than your emotions. There's even more we'd like to show you in the course. And when you get bigger than your emotions, your sense of inner peace grows and your world expands. We need that, don't we? And you'll be better able to navigate all of life's tough situations. We're not saying that will make it easier, but easier. Not saying we'll make it easy, but it'll make it easier. And those tough situations like your own self-doubt or your maybe difficult relationships, you'll find those easier. And it helps you stress a lot less too. So I'm going to put in the chat the URL, the web address for our course, Your Path to Lasting Change. And it's focusingresources.com/YPLC, Your Path to Lasting Change. There it is. And we'll talk even a little more at the very end of the webinar about how you can get in touch with us and follow up on any of the things we've been talking about today. But you know what? We've talked about pausing, using the language of I'm sensing something in me, putting a compassionate hand on the place where something feels stressed. And now let's talk about how to make use of that every day. When you and I have been talking about that, Lucinda, how we use it every day and we like to do it even more. What are some other tips we can give people about what that's like?
Yeah. For one thing, all of these things we've been talking about, the pausing and using this language and putting the hand there, you don't actually need to do them with your eyes closed. And this makes it easier to really weave it into your daily life. Like if you're in a challenging conversation with someone or at a meeting, you could be just saying this to yourself. You could put your hand there, or you could say silently, I'm sensing something in me that's feeling really frustrated by this. It's all internal. And so they don't know that what you're doing. And so that's one tip and again, this is a practice, because often we feel like we have to close our eyes to get in touch with our inner selves. And we don't. If you practice it, you can just maybe lower your eyes a little, but you can use all of these very powerful tools that we're giving you with your eyes open.
And in the middle of interaction, that's so important, because I personally find being actually in the interaction one of the most stressful things.
And that's where you pause, right? That's where we remember to pause.
I need a minute. Sometimes I don't remember. Sometimes I get carried away and start fighting back, but I need a moment. I need to pause. And the more I do it, the easier it gets.
Exactly.
And the other person gets more used to the fact that Anne needs to pause sometimes. Okay, this is what Anne needs. Sometimes that other person starts doing it too. Okay, I like it when you say I need a moment. I think I'll take a moment myself. Oh, wouldn't this be a great world if we could really, more of us do that pausing. And what happens when we pause is we're getting bigger. And when we get bigger, we're accessing more of our resources. We actually have so many more resources than we can feel when we're stressed.
Right.
Stress actually evolutionarily narrows your focus. It actually has the positive evolutionary purpose of, there's a threat. You have to really just pay attention to the threat. But nowadays, most of the time, we need to get wider rather than narrower when we feel stressed. And we can still pay attention to what needs our attention, what needs taking care of in our environment. I wonder if people have questions for us, things they'd like us to say a bit more about in the next 4 minutes until we're done. Or maybe there's something more you'd like to say, Lucinda. Why don't we give people our email address?
Email addresses, yes.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Yes. Yes, and so I put mine up there, lucinda@focusingresources.com. So feel free to reach out to me about my little free short audios. I'd be happy to send you the link to that, and love to hear from you if you have any questions. I love to connect with people.
Oh, now this is a really important question. Are there 3 webinars or are they the same? Yeah, there are 3 webinars.
3 different ones. Topics. Yeah, tell them the topics, Anne.
Let's talk about what's coming up. So next week, the webinar has to do with what happens when our stressful feelings are more stressful because of our past. I mean, one way we get triggered. In other words, I'm not just stressed by this situation. I'm also stressed by the way this situation reminds me of the trauma, traumatic times that I suffered in the past. That happens to me, and I'm sure it happens to everybody here. So we're going to, next time, a week from now, same time, we're going to show you some methods for those times when your present feelings are also triggered by the past. And remarkably, that can shift not only the present feelings, but also how much the past affects us and overshadows us. And that's really wonderful.
Yeah.
And the third webinar in 2 weeks is about your inner sense of rightness and how this work can enable you to know deep down what's really true for you and make clearer decisions. It's an amazing process. Yeah, it's an amazing gift. Okay, so what if you can't identify the feeling? I have an easy answer to that one. Use the word something. I'm feeling something. Yes. Ooh, Alistair reminds us that if you're outside the US, the webinar next week and the week after will be 1 hour earlier than it was this week because the US changes our times, changes our clocks to daylight saving time, but Europe does not. And for 2 weeks. Yes, thank you so much, Alistair. Thoughts about grief. Yeah. It works the same. Be with that. Be with the pain, be with the feelings. And there's a level at which we really are trusting that our body process knows how to go forward if we give it the kind of compassionate company that we can when we're bigger. Last words, Lucinda?
Yes. Just I hope you join us again for the next 2 weeks because there's so much more that Anne and I want to share with you. It's helped me so much in my life, and I really want that for all of you. I want you to have access to all that this can help you with.
Thank you. See you next week. Take care. Bye.